Over 300,000 years ago, in the heart of Africa, a story began that would transcend millennia and continents, shaping the very fabric of life on Earth. This story is that of Homo sapiens, a species that emerged from the depths of prehistory to become the architects of cities, creators of culture, and the shapers of entire ecosystems. It's a tale that stretches back far beyond recorded history, to a time when the Earth's climate was transforming, when our earliest ancestors began to walk on two legs and use the tools that would set them apart from all other creatures. From the small, scattered bands of hunter-gatherers who first walked the African plains to the builders of great empires and masters of technology, the rise of Homo sapiens is a tale of adaptability, survival, cooperation, and boundless creativity. To truly understand the origins of Homo sapiens, we must go back to a time millions of years ago, when the ancestors of modern humans lived in an African landscape that was undergoing dramatic environmental changes. Around 7 million years ago, as Earth's climate shifted, the lush forests that once covered large portions of Africa began to recede, making way for open grasslands. This transformation in the environment presented a critical challenge to the hominins of the time, early human ancestors who were still largely adapted to living in trees. Among the first to adapt to this new world were the Australopithecines, who began walking upright on two legs, an evolutionary shift that would have profound consequences for the development of Homo sapiens. Walking upright, or bipedalism, freed the hands for tasks like carrying food, crafting tools, and manipulating the environment. This shift in locomotion laid the groundwork for the innovations that would follow. As millions of years passed, different species of hominins emerged, each contributing to the evolutionary path that would lead to Homo sapiens. One of the most notable of these early species was Homo habilis, which appeared around 2.5 million years ago. Often referred to as the handy man, Homo habilis was one of the first hominins to make and use tools, rudimentary implements fashioned from stone to aid in tasks like hunting and scavenging. Next came Homo erectus, a species that not only improved upon the toolmaking skills of its predecessors but also became the first hominin to leave Africa. Homo erectus spread into Asia and Europe, adapting to new environments and climates. These early human ancestors were masters of fire and likely possessed some form of early communication, allowing them to hunt cooperatively and share knowledge across generations. Homo erectus thrived for nearly 2 million years, an extraordinary feat in the timeline of human evolution. But it wasn't until around 300,000 years ago that a new species, Homo sapiens, began to emerge in Africa. The early Homo sapiens who lived during this time were physically similar to us, but their cognitive abilities were still evolving. Their brains were undergoing significant changes that would eventually lead to the complex thought, language, and social structures that define modern humans. Around 70,000 years ago, this gradual evolution culminated in what many scientists call the cognitive revolution, a period when Homo sapiens began to think and communicate in ways that no other species had before. The cognitive revolution wasn't a sudden event but a slow, transformative process that allowed Homo sapiens to develop more sophisticated tools, create art, and, most importantly, use language to share ideas, tell stories, and build social bonds. Language, in particular, was a game changer. It allowed Homo sapiens to collaborate in large groups, plan complex activities, and transmit knowledge across generations. This ability to form larger, more cohesive social structures gave Homo sapiens a critical advantage over other hominins, such as the Neanderthals. Though the Neanderthals were well adapted to their harsh environments in Europe and Asia, they lacked the social and cognitive flexibility of Homo sapiens. Over time, as Homo sapiens migrated out of Africa and into Europe and Asia, they encountered these other hominins, sometimes interbreeding with them, but ultimately outcompeting them. By around 40,000 years ago, Homo sapiens had become the dominant species, with other hominins gradually disappearing. The cognitive revolution set the stage for a series of cultural and technological advancements that would shape the course of human history. As Homo sapiens spread across the globe, they adapted to a wide variety of environments, from the frigid tundras of Europe to the tropical rainforests of Southeast Asia. They developed tools that were increasingly specialized, such as spears for hunting, needles for sewing clothes, and axes for cutting wood. They also began to create art, leaving behind cave paintings, carvings, and other forms of expression that suggest a growing sense of identity, spirituality, and community. But perhaps the most significant development to emerge from the cognitive revolution was the ability to form complex social structures, including tribes, alliances, and early forms of leadership. Between 60,000 and 100,000 years ago, Homo sapiens began a series of migrations that would take them to every corner of the planet. These migrations weren't the result of deliberate exploration but were driven by necessity. Humans were following their food sources, moving in response to climate changes, and seeking out new territories in which to thrive. As they spread into new regions, Homo sapiens encountered new challenges and opportunities. In Europe, they braved the harsh conditions of the Ice Age, hunting mammoths and other large game. In Southeast Asia, they thrived in dense jungles, while in the Middle East, they crossed vast deserts. One of the most extraordinary migrations took place around 15,000 years ago, when a group of Homo sapiens crossed the Bering Land Bridge, which connected Asia to North America during the Ice Age. This migration marked the beginning of human habitation in the Americas, and over the millennia, these early settlers spread throughout North and South America, adapting to the diverse landscapes they encountered. But even as Homo sapiens were exploring new frontiers, they continued to live as hunter-gatherers, moving from place to place in search of food. It wasn't until around 12,000 years ago, in a region known as the Fertile Crescent, that humans began to experiment with a new way of life, agriculture. This shift from a nomadic, hunter-gatherer lifestyle to one based on farming and settlement is known as the Agricultural Revolution, and it is one of the most significant turning points in human history. For the first time, humans were able to produce their own food, rather than relying on what they could hunt or gather. This newfound ability to grow crops and domesticate animals allowed humans to settle in one place, leading to the development of permanent villages and, eventually, the rise of cities. The agricultural revolution brought about profound changes in human society. With a more stable food supply, populations grew, and people began to specialize in different trades, such as pottery, weaving, and toolmaking. Surplus food allowed for the accumulation of wealth, which in turn led to the formation of social hierarchies and the development of trade networks. However, the agricultural revolution also brought new challenges. The concentration of people in villages and cities led to the spread of disease, while competition for land and resources resulted in conflicts and warfare. Despite these challenges, the agricultural revolution laid the foundation for the rise of the world's first great civilizations. In Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, humans built the first cities, developed written language, and established complex systems of government. Similar developments occurred in ancient Egypt, the Indus Valley, and early China, where monumental structures were erected, and early forms of mathematics, astronomy, and medicine were developed. These early civilizations became centers of innovation and culture, and their achievements laid the groundwork for the advances that would follow in the coming millennia. As Homo sapiens continued to innovate, they entered new eras of technological and cultural advancement. The Bronze Age saw the development of stronger tools and weapons made from metal, while the Iron Age introduced even more durable materials for construction and warfare. The Classical Era, particularly in Greece and Rome, was a period of extraordinary intellectual achievement, with advances in philosophy, science, and engineering. But perhaps the most significant leap forward came during the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. With the invention of machines powered by steam and later electricity, human society was transformed. Factories sprang up, cities grew rapidly, and transportation and communication networks expanded on a global scale. Today, Homo sapiens are the most dominant species on Earth. We have harnessed the power of nature, developed technologies that allow us to explore the farthest reaches of space, and created systems of government and economy that organize billions of people across the planet. Yet, despite all these advancements, we remain, at our core, the same species that emerged from Africa over 300,000 years ago. We are still driven by the same basic desires, the need for survival, the pursuit of knowledge, and the quest for meaning in an increasingly complex world. As we look to the future, Homo sapiens face new challenges that will shape the next chapters of our story. Climate change threatens the ecosystems that sustain us, while advances in technology raise ethical questions about the nature of humanity itself. The rise of artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and other transformative technologies could lead to profound changes in the way we live, work, and relate to one another. At the same time, the quest for meaning in a rapidly changing world continues to drive us forward, as we seek to understand our place in the universe. The story of Homo sapiens is far from over. What began over 300,000 years ago in the African savannas continues today, as we push the boundaries of what it means to be human. Every new discovery, every technological breakthrough, and every societal challenge adds a new chapter to the epic saga of our species. As we move into the future, we carry with us the lessons of the past, the achievements of our ancestors, and the hope that we can continue to evolve, adapt, and thrive in an ever-changing world. The journey of Homo sapiens will continue as long as we remain curious, innovative, and resilient, striving to create a future that builds upon the foundations laid by those who came before us. The journey that began over 300,000 years ago will not stop here, it will keep moving forward, shaped by our choices, our challenges, and our enduring desire to explore and understand the world around us. As long as Homo sapiens continue to dream, create, and connect, the story of our species will remain one of boundless potential and unceasing exploration.